Have you ever wondered what happens the moment life stops whispering and starts roaring? It doesn't knock politely, doesn't check if you're prepared, doesn't wait. It strikes suddenly, ruthlessly. And when it does, most people crumble under the weight. They cry, they run, they beg for comfort or disappear into distractions. But not you. Not if you're determined to become powerful. Not if you're ready to rise without permission, without applause. Understand this. Machiavelli never wrote for those living in comfort. He wrote for the discarded, the betrayed, the broken. He spoke to those who've tasted defeat. Because that's where the real transformation begins. When life breaks you, it's not the end. It's a test, a signal, question whispered beneath the chaos. What will you do next? If you really want to discover who you are, let everything fall. Let the money disappear. Let the people turn their backs. Let the future blur into uncertainty. Meet yourself in the wreckage. That's where truth lives, and if your mind is fragile, you'll decay in self-pity, waiting for rescue that never comes. But if your mind is focused, cold, alert, detached, you won't just survive. You'll evolve. Pain isn't your enemy, it's your mentor. It draws a sharp line between the fragile and the forged. If you let it, pain will become the fire that tempers your thoughts, hardens your resolve, and builds a mind that bends for no one. This world doesn't reward feelings. It responds to what you become. When you're left alone in the dark, don't scream. Don't search for light. Sit in the silence. Watch, listen, analyze. Trace your emotions to their source. Find the weakness, then suffocate it. Don't reach outward, reach inward. Because once you train your mind to stand tall beneath pressure, you become something no one can control again. You're not here to be liked. You're not here to stay soft. You're here to become dangerous, a threat to everything that ever tried to break you. If you feel that shift taking root inside you, now, I want you to write this in the comments. Pain sharpens my power. Say it, seal it. This is how we begin. Rule number 1. Weak minds crave comfort. Strong minds seek control. Most people, when hurt, chase escape. They cling to noise, temporary highs, and easy distractions. They turn to people, addictions. Anything that numbs the storm brewing inside their head. But here's the hard truth. Comfort is a killer. It smothers growth. And that's exactly what the world wants. Minds addicted to ease, too passive to rise. You want to be untouchable? Then rewire how your brain interprets pain. Machiavelli would tell you control is the highest form of power. But it doesn't begin with others. It starts with your own reactions. You've been conditioned to avoid discomfort. You scroll, eat, blame just to dodge the war within. But those who rule their minds rule the world. While others chase pleasure, you train your focus. While they search for reassurance, you sit with discomfort. While they panic, you plan. That's not being heartless. It's mastering the only territory that matters. Your own psychology, people will call you cold. Once you stop reacting emotionally, let them. They only say that because they can no longer manipulate you. Your silence will intimidate them. Your indifference will offend them. But their approval isn't your mission. Your mind obeying your will is, and you don't reach that level. By being soft, you get there by confronting your darkest thoughts and refusing to flinch. This is where most people fall apart. This is the place where minds collapse under pressure, where hearts give in to fear. But not you. It's not anymore. Because now you're beginning to understand what most never do. If you want control, you must earn it in the shadows. If you're ready to train your mind beyond emotion, beyond weakness, beyond the desperate craving for comfort, then do something about it. Say it out loud. Comment this now. My control is my revenge. Let it be known. Speak. Less, command more. Number 2, break the emotion. Build the edge. You were never weak because life hurt you. Pain alone doesn't define weakness. You became weak the moment you surrendered your judgment to your emotions. The second you allowed chaos to hijack your thinking, you gave away the most powerful weapon you possess, your mind. You handed it over like a pawn, and at that moment, you became prey. Understand something vital. pain is guaranteed. But the meaning you assign to that pain? That's yours to choose. And in the realm of power psychology, the one who controls meaning controls everything. Yes, life can break your body. It can wear you down physically. But if it breaks mind you, we're never ready in the first place. That's the harsh truth most people spend their entire lives running from. But not you. You must unlearn the lie that reacting emotionally makes you real or authentic. It doesn't. It makes you predictable. And in this world, predictability is vulnerability. The world watches you closely. It studies your patterns. If your reactions are automatic, emotional, and consistent, then you are already owned. They know exactly how to push your buttons. Know which words trigger your rage, which actions ignite your sadness, which silences stir your need for validation. Every time you respond the same way, you confirm one thing: you're still in chains. So what's the move? Emotional discipline. Not emotional absence. Not numbness. Discipline. You feel the fire, but you don't flinch. You cry, but only in silence behind doors no one sees. You speak less, but when you speak, your words cut with precision. You know, longer waste energy explaining yourself to those who've already decided who you are. Why? Because your focus is sacred, and no one deserves access to your mind unless they've earned it. Machiavelli once wrote that it's safer to be feared than loved. And in the war of the mind, love can become your leash. It ties you to illusion. It softens your instincts. But fear sharpens perception. It keeps others cautious, makes them second-guess every move, every word. They may not understand you, but they will respect you. That's the edge you are carving now. Not just strength precision. Not just survival mastery. Psychological sharpness so silent, so steady, it doesn't need to raise its voice to be heard. That's power. So the next time life throws fire at you, don't retreat, don't break, stare it down. You've already been broken. This time, you're breaking through. That's the difference between who you were, who you're becoming. If you're ready to replace emotional chaos with unshakable clarity, I want you to say it with me right now. I feel nothing. I move with precision. Burn that sentence into your mind. Etch it in your discipline. You're not here to react. You're here to rise. Number 3, rewrite the narrative or stay broken. Most people remain shattered not because they were hurt, but because they accepted the story that came with the pain. They wear their suffering like a badge, hoping someone will finally understand. But Machiavellian power isn't earned through pity. It isn't granted by sympathy, nor handed out to those who ask nicely. It's seized through psychological warfare, through mental domination, through the willingness to face truth without flinching. You want to become untouchable? Then it starts here. Rewrite your story, right now. Tear down every belief, every sentence, every whispered lie that told you were a victim. Destroy every narrative that says you were wronged, that says life owes you compensation for your pain. Because here's the truth. Life owes you nothing. Not healing. Not justice. Not comfort. But it will give you one thing. Power, if you're ruthless enough to rise and take it. Your trauma is not your personality. Your pain is not your identity. Stop romanticizing your wounds. Stop calling them your truth. It wasn't destiny. It wasn't a life sentence. It was a phase. A hit. A test. Now destroy it. Cut it out like poison. Leave no trace behind. You're not here to tell the world what happened to you. You're here to show the world what you became because of it. People will try to drag you back into old versions of yourself. Let them try. Just make sure the person they're looking for doesn't exist anymore. That's how you control the narrative. By killing off the version of yourself that stayed. Broken the you that begged. The you that waited. The you that needed. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. Perception is more powerful than reality. So when you speak with weight. Make your words slice through the noise. When you walk, carry silence like a weapon, calm, unreadable, unstoppable. When they doubt you, don't argue. Succeed. And when life hits again, because it will you, won't shatter like before, you'll calculate, you'll adapt, you'll use it. Because a man trained in pain becomes fluent in strategy. There will be nights when your mind turns on you, when your own thoughts feel like enemies. When everything you once believed begins to crack, you'll feel the urge to disappear, to give up, to collapse. But in that exact moment, there is only one real choice. Collapse, construct, collapse into weakness, or construct your mental empire. You don't need more hope. You need more control. Your mind doesn't. Respect your feelings. It respects discipline. It obeys repetition. It follows structure. So feed it the truth. Train it to function under fire. Train it to lead under pressure. And here's the truth. You carve into your bones, in your blood, and repeat until it becomes law. You are not the damaged version of your past. You are the weapon that version created. Say it like you mean it. I killed the old me. I walk as the weapon. Comment it now. Lock it in. If you feel that switch flip inside you, don't announce it to the world. Let them scroll past you unaware. You're building something they'll never touch again. Number 4, kill attachment. Build inner power. Attachment is the most silent killer of mental strength. It doesn't scream. It doesn't warn you. At first, it feels warm like love, like loyalty, like hope. But beneath the surface, attachment turns your power into chains. You wait, you chase, you compromise. You bend your standards just to keep people, places, or possibilities that were never meant to stay. And that right there, that's the first fracture in your mental armor. Caring too much about things don't care about you. Machiavelli didn't rise by clinging. He rose by observing, by calculating, by detaching at the exact right moment. If you want to train your mind to survive betrayal, setbacks, and storms, study this deeply. Never attach your peace to anything external. Not people, not outcomes, not even the version of yourself you thought you'd become. Because the moment something outside of you controls how you feel, it controls you, and a man who can be controlled is already defeated. A controlled man is a weak man. Absolutely. Below is your expanded and refined English version based strictly on your original content, extended by approximately 10%, with the key phrases at the start and end retained to maintain story flow. The punctuation and rhythm have been improved for natural delivery, and light rhetorical and descriptive touches have been added to enhance emotional impact without drifting from your original intent. You want to become dangerous? Then you must become emotionally independent, not just in theory, but in action, in energy, in your daily silence. Learn to master the rare and deadly skill of showing up calm while the world around you spirals into chaos. While others react, scream, beg, or break down, you remain still, and soon people start to notice. They'll wonder, why don't you flinch anymore? Why don't you chase or justify, or even blink? That's when you know the transformation has begun. Your silence becomes unsettling. Your absence, deafening. Your detachment becomes your dominance. Because while the rest of the world panics and scrambles for emotional ground, you stand rooted in composure. Because you don't feel, but because you no longer need. Every time you detach, you reclaim power. Every time you stop explaining yourself, you sharpen your focus. Every time you refuse to react, you earn a different kind of respect, the kind they don't give lightly. And every time you walk away, you remind the world of a truth they forgot. You were never meant to be owned. You were meant to be observed from a distance. Understand this deeply. Being unbothered is not coldness, it's control. And in Machiavellian warfare, control is everything. Power doesn't flinch. Power doesn't justify. Power studies in silence. But make no mistake, they'll try to guilt you. They'll say you've changed. They'll say you've become distant, hardened, even selfish. Let them speak, them spin their narrative. The truth is simple. You finally stopped playing the emotional servant. You stopped bleeding for people who never even noticed your wounds. You stopped shrinking yourself so others could feel taller in your presence. Now that you've chosen power over approval, the same people who once thrived on your softness will scramble to rewrite the script. But here's the catch. They don't get to anymore. Because now, you see through it. All clear, cold, focused. You spent too long mistaking attachment for loyalty. But now you've learned. Loyalty to others means nothing if it comes at the cost of loyalty to yourself. This is the turning point. You don't need closure. You don't need validation. You don't even need applause. What you need is clarity and the mental distance to move with purpose, to execute your next move in silence. Because this is what Machiavelli called the supreme discipline of rulers: to act without being seen, to feel without being enslaved, to cut cleanly, ruthlessly when necessary. So train your mind for it. Drop what weakens it. Release what drains it. Silence what distracts it. You're not in this world to please. You're here to position. And positioning always begins with emotional withdrawal. You must build an internal fortress that no one has the key to. And once you do that, the world begins to lose its grip on you. Let them talk. Let them leave. Let them lie or betray. But understand, they can never break what they cannot reach. The more you detach, the more they notice. Not because you vanished, but because you are no longer dependent on being seen. Power doesn't chase. Power disappears. And lets absence do the damage. That's your new form of warfare. Subtle, cold, effective, if something inside. You finally snapped if you've reached that silent threshold where you're done explaining, you're done waiting, and done bleeding. Then now is the moment. If you're ready to sever every emotional chain, to walk through the world with power as your only companion, I want you to comment this right now. Attachment is weakness. I choose control. Say it. Lock it in. Let the fragile ones scroll past. You're not here to be understood. You're here to rule from within. Number 5. Isolation is where kings are forged. They'll warn you. They'll say being alone is dangerous. That solitude means you're failing, or that distance is proof you're damaged. But all of that, it's a lie, a distraction, repeated by those who fear their own reflection. Weak minds need noise. They cling to chaos. They surround themselves with people to drown out the war they refuse to fight inside. But you've stepped into a different realm now. You're entering the phase few ever survive. Chosen isolation, loneliness, solitude. And in that sacred solitude, something powerful begins to take shape. Your mind. This is where the world goes. Silent hand, your thoughts get loud. Every fear, every buried insecurity, every piece of regret will surface. But don't mistake this. For an attack, it's not punishment, it's an audit. An internal reckoning. Psychological cleansing. This is exactly where Machiavelli thrived in shadows, not under spotlights. While others performed in the light, he planned in the dark. Observed, he sharpened. He built mental clarity in silence. And that's what isolation gives you. A life stripped of illusion. When everything around you fades away, you finally see clearly what broke you, what you still carry, what you must burn to rise again. Most people run from this moment. They cover the silence with distractions, meaningless conversations, endless scrolling, anything to avoid the mirror. But you sit in the silence. You dominate it. You'll hear your mind scream. You won't flinch. You'll listen to outdated beliefs beg for survival, and you'll kill them off one by one. This isn't about healing. This is about transformation. And transformation doesn't come gently. It's not warm. It's not soft. It's brutal. Cold but real. This is where the code is rewritten. Where you stop thinking like a servant and begin thinking like a strategist. You detach from emotional noise, connect to tactical clarity. You rewire how you wake up, how you speak. You enter a room. You stop chasing dopamine. You chase discipline. You stop asking, why did this happen to me? You start asking, how do I use this? That shift right there, that's your rebirth. Not mystical, not emotional, strategic, precise. ruthless, unapologetic. In isolation, all your weaknesses will try to creep back in. Old habits will whisper sweet lies. Past relationships will knock on your door. Your doubts will wear the mask of logic. But this is the final test. This is where you separate yourself from the 99%. You don't open the door. You don't respond to what once broke you. You build alone. You study alone. You evolve alone. And when they see you again, you won't be the same. Because when a man returns from isolation, he is either more broken, or more dangerous. There is no middle. The weak return needing applause, needing to be seen. The powerful, they come back needing nothing. That's the path you're on now. You're not doing this for recognition. You're doing this to reclaim your edge. Because in this world, the ones who win are not the ones who broadcast their healing journey. The world rewards those who control themselves. Silence becomes your gym. It's where strength is built in. The quiet reps no one sees. Loneliness becomes your weapon, a sharp edge that no one expects. And when life throws fire your way again, you won't run, you won't flinch. You'll walk straight through it, the mind forged in solitude, the eyes trained not to blink. That's what unsettles them the most, that you know. Longer need anyone to feel whole? That you no longer share your plans? You've stopped asking to be understood because now you've tasted something different. You've tasted power, and not the kind the world hands out. It's the kind that comes from walking alone, the freedom from the world's approval. Machiavelli wrote his sharpest strategies alone, not in crowds, not in applause, but in the shadows where clarity lives. He understood that influence isn't built by being seen. It's built by being invisible while building strength, and so must you. Stop trying to fix your mind in public. Stop seeking truth from people who haven't even met themselves yet. Go inward, go dark. Let your silence sharpen your next move, and when you return, don't explain. Just execute. The ones who ghosted you, who doubted you, who mocked or misread you, they won't know how to react, because you won't return with desperation. You'll return with no emotion, no need, no dependence, just cold, brutal precision. That's the result of isolation done right. You don't become a shinier version of your old self. You become someone they never imagined. So let me ask you, are you ready to disappear from everything that distracts and reappear as everything they fear? If your answer is yes, then comment this now. I train in silence. Let them keep talking. Let them keep talking, You're done explaining. You're just getting started. Number 6. Turn pain into precision. Think like a tactician. Pain is not punishment. It's not weakness. It is the most honest intelligence test life will ever give you. Not school, not books, not degrees, but raw. Unfiltered pain, the kind that cracks your routine, bends your ego, and slices your illusions wide open. And in that chaos, as the weak beg for comfort, they reach outward. They drown in feelings. But the future rulers, they go silent. They stop. Reacting, they start calculating. They treat pain like information, like a coded message from the universe, like a puzzle dropped at your feet whispering, adapt now or be erased. If you're still reacting emotionally to pain, then you haven't understood what it really is. Pain is data. It exposes where you're vulnerable. It reveals what others can use against you. It uncovers who you trusted too much. It shows you where your armor cracked. This is the moment where you stop seeing pain as your enemy and start using it like a surgeon's blade. You dissect it. You sit with it. You ask, why did this hit me so hard? And the answer always circles back to the same truth. You let your mind fall asleep? Machiavelli would have warned you, never let peace lull you into softness. The world is not a gentle place. It's not built to protect you. It's a field of traps, games, moods, and consequences. It's a battlefield in disguise. And once you start treating life like a war zone, you begin to think like a tactician. Pain stops being bad. It becomes feedback. Your heartbreak, data, your failure, map coordinates. your betrayal, and a list of entry points to fortify, while others collapse under the weight of their emotions. You build responses instead of reactions. You're not breaking anymore. You're engineering your next move. Responses. Because a response isn't a reaction, it's a strategy. It's deliberate, it's measured, it's emotionless. And that's what gives it weight. It's power. You see, most people are playing checkers, with their pain jumping too quickly, speaking too loudly, chasing too desperately. They respond to life like it's urgent, chaotic, messy. But you play chess. You've learned to pause. To calculate, you stop asking, why me? And instead, begin asking, where can this pain position me long term? That's the Machiavellian mindset. It's not heartless, but cold, clear, focused. Every time life stabs you, you don't bleed for the world to see. You study the wound. What did it expose? Which weakness in your system allowed the strike? Which blind spot made you vulnerable? Which habit left your energy scattered and your guard down? Pain isn't just an alarm bell. It's a blueprint. But it only works if you're ruthless enough to examine it without blinking, without turning away. And here's where your power evolves. When you start predicting pain, you stop stepping into the same traps. You recognize patterns before they reset. You read the room before anyone speaks. You read people before they even act. That's not trauma. It's tactical memory. It's your nervous system whispering, I've seen this move before. We're not falling for it again. That's the birth of intuition, sharpened by pain, refined by experience, filtered through cold, deliberate logic. You don't feel your way through life anymore. You observe, and from that observation, you calculate.
Okay.
And that's what makes you dangerous. But understand this. Strategy isn't just something you aim at the world. It's also how you treat yourself. You wake up with a protocol. You don't let scattered thoughts hijack your direction. You don't let emotions decide your path. You sit still. You breathe. And then you ask, what does today demand of me? Do you need to be calm, cold, assertive, silent, aggressive, strategic? People never walk into situations unarmed. The weapon you carry, it's not in your hand. It's in your mind. You begin to filter everything. Conversations, relationships, habits. You stop speaking to gain approval. You start speaking with intention. You stop showing up to be liked. You show up to command presence. And every time someone tests you, you don't bark. You observe. You don't argue. You document. You don't react. You reposition. That's the man life fears. The one who doesn't just survive pain, but uses it to sharpen his edge. You walk differently. You think further ahead. You smile less. But when you do, it means something. You no longer need to shout. Your silence, it becomes a warning. A message that says, this man is recalibrated. That's the energy that shifts rooms without saying a single word. They taught you to feel your feelings. But now, you know better. Feel your strategy. Study your patterns. Reconstruct your responses. Emotion is not your master. It's a signal, not a command. It's here to guide, not govern. To pull you toward logic, presence, and precision. And if you train yourself to stay calm under fire, if you can sit still when chaos screams, then they will never see your next move coming. That's what they fear most. Not the man who explodes, but the man who calculates in silence. Machiavelli understood something the world forgot. Number 7, become emotionally immune. Kill their control. Let's get one thing straight. The world doesn't destroy you with weapons. It destroys you with expectations. With pressure, with emotional bait, you're told to be nice when you should be quiet, to forgive when you should walk away, to explain when you should disappear. Every time you comply, a piece of you dies. That's how control works, not through force, but through emotion. But you're not playing that game anymore.
Ow.
You're done bleeding for people who sharpen the knife. You're done being predictable, available, and easily swayed. This is the beginning of your emotional immunity, not numbness immunity. And there's a difference. Numbness hides. Immunity absorbs and remains unshaken. That's what you're building now. You don't let their words cut you. You don't let their silence shake you. You don't let their opinions dictate your worth. You witness it. You register it. It doesn't touch your core. Why? Because you've fortified the walls within. You've reinforced your inner perimeter. And nothing that isn't truth gets through. The weak give their energy away like it means nothing. One insult and they spiral. One ignored message and they collapse. One setback and they slide into victim mode. But Machiavelli would tell, you, a ruler, must be unshakable, not because he is emotionless, but because he is focused. You cannot control your empire if you can't control your emotions. You cannot lead anyone if just one careless comment can knock you off course. And you cannot protect your peace if you keep handing out emotional access like it's free. So now, you audit everything that touches your energy. Every conversation, every environment, every person, and you ask yourself, does this strengthen me or does it scatter me? In the moment, the second, do you feel yourself shrinking, doubting, hesitating? You cut it, emotionally, strategically, quietly. This isn't about revenge. This isn't about proving a point. This is about preservation. They don't need to know you're done. They don't need an announcement, a closure, a warning. They just need to feel the silence where your emotional investment used to live. And that silence? That's your revenge. It's your power. You're not here to chase clarity from people who revel in weaving webs of confusion around you. You're not here to keep proving your worth to those who thrive on planting seeds of doubt. In your mind, your self-respect is no longer a bargaining chip on their table. You know who you are now. That version of you doesn't plead, doesn't pursue, doesn't grovel. It's a version that slips away so quietly, so effortlessly that others are left questioning whether they ever truly held a piece of you at all. This is what makes you formidable, terrifying even. It's not because you roar or rage, but because you're untouchable by their games. Manipulation no longer finds a foothold in your world. It can't predict your next move, can't rattle you into chaos. You respond with a stillness that unnerves, a calm that carries weight. Picture it. A storm of their making swirls around you. But you're the eye of it unmoved, unshaken. You don't clap back with venom. You don't spiral into rants. You don't waste breath on arguments. Instead, you withdraw, first emotionally, then physically, leaving only echoes where your presence once was. When they search for the old Eutha, one who danced to their tune, who played their game, they'll find nothing but a void. That absence is your power. It's not just silence. It's a presence so potent it speaks louder than words ever could. Your new weapon is this, absence loaded. With presence, a quiet strength that disarms without a single blow. You must forge a standard so unyielding, so towering, that anyone who dares bring inconsistency, disrespect, or emotional turmoil crumbles before they can even approach your core. Not because you lash out, but because your clarity is a mirror, reflecting their truth back at them. Most can't bear to face their own reflection, especially when it's no longer softened by your empathy or blurred by your willingness to bend. Let them call you cold. Let them whisper that you've changed. They're not wrong. You've shed the skin of the person who craved approval, who over-explained to those who never listened, who tolerated what should have been rejected. You've become a fortress, immune to anything that seeks to drain your spirit. That coldness they sense, it's not hatred, it's peace, hard-earned and fiercely guarded. That silence they mistake for distance. It's protection, a shield you wield with precision. You no longer chase understanding from those who choose to misunderstand. You seek only to remain undisturbed, to preserve the sanctuary of your mind. Why would you waste energy convincing others of your worth when you've already claimed it for yourself? Machiavelli once said, the first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. So pause and reflect. Who do you allow into your orbit? Still holds sway over your emotions? Who do you permit to linger in your world, even after they've fractured your peace time and again? That's your audit, your reckoning. It's a mission to clear the clutter, to strip away what no longer serves you. When the dust settles, you'll stand taller, sharper, more formidable than ever. A man who protects his inner state with discipline and detachment wields a power that no weapon can match. You don't demand respect with shouts or threats. You live in a way that makes disrespect impossible, a presence so solid that it repels anything less than reverence. Life will test you again, it always does, but it will find no familiar weaknesses to exploit. You've sealed the cracks, burned the bridges, and what remains is a mind impervious to the chaos that once broke it. So I'll ask you this: are you still reacting, or are you controlling? You still bleeding for the same stories, or are you rewriting them? Are you still giving emotional power to the unworthy, or have you cut the cord? Imagine a ledger of your heart's investments. Have you tallied the cost of opening yourself to those who diminish you? If you've locked the door to your peace, declare it now: my peace is sealed, no one gets in. The world can claw at the ghost of the old you, but that door is bolted shut. You've stepped into a realm of psychological mastery, a place where retreat is impossible. You've claimed a new weapon: your presence. It's not about shouting or demanding, it's about command without a single word. And powerful men don't need to fill the air with noise. They don't justify. They don't bicker in public squares. They move in silence, yet their very existence speaks volumes. A quiet force that reshapes the room. This isn't arrogance, it's precision, a calibration, honed through self-awareness. They walk onto life's battlefield knowing every eye is on them, every glance measuring their weight. Perception isn't just reality, it's the currency of power.
Why?
Shout when your energy can silence a crowd.
Machiavelli understood this.
A ruler's strength lies in how they're perceived, not in fleeting truths. You train for this now, to become unreadable, a figure of calm, cold, controlled intensity. Your presence alone makes others feel exposed, not because you're trying, but because they can't unravel you. Your silence is a mirror, reflecting their guilt, their fears, their hidden motives. You say nothing, letting them unravel themselves while you remain a closed book. That's victory without effort, triumph won by simply being. Picture a room shifting when you enter. Conversations falter, postures straighten, the air grows taut. That's not sorcery, it's presence, forged in solitude, tempered by discipline, and polished through quiet self-mastery. It's built when you stop chasing approval, when you walk with the unshakable certainty of who you are and who you refuse to be. True dominance doesn't roar. It refuses to over-explain. Weak men compensate with loud boasts, endless chatter, desperate bids for validation. But you're becoming something rarer. Man who sits unmoved in the storm's heart, unfazed by insults, always 2 steps ahead. Why seek to be liked when you can be felt? Liked men bend, they yield, they soften to please. Felt men are enigmas, self-contained, respected from afar. You don't demand attention, you withdraw it. And in that withdrawal, panic ripples through those who thought they knew you. Silence from a man with power speaks louder than 100 empty voices. Are you still bleeding for the same stories, or are you rewriting them? Are you still giving emotional power to the unworthy, or have you cut the cord? Imagine your heart as a fortress. Have you barred the gates to those who sap your strength? If you've sealed off access to your peace, proclaim it now. My peace is locked. No one gets in. Let the world claw at the shadow of the old you, but that door is bolted shut forever. You've stepped into a realm of psychological mastery, Place of no return where control is your foundation. Your new weapon is your presence, a force that commands without a single word spoken. Powerful men don't fill the silence with chatter. They don't justify their existence or bicker in public view. They glide through the world in silence, yet their presence roars louder than any speech could. This isn't arrogance, it's calibration. It's a deliberate alignment with the battlefield of perception. They know every step is watched, every gesture. Wade. Perception doesn't just shape reality, it rules it. Why raise your voice when your energy alone can shift the air? Machiavelli knew this. A ruler's power lies in appearing unshakable, even when the ground quakes beneath them, because in the game of influence, perception trumps truth. You train now to be unreadable, calm, cold, and utterly controlled. Your presence becomes so composed that others feel exposed in your shadow, not because you act, but because they can't decipher you. Your silence is a mirror reflecting their guilt, their fears, their hidden agendas. You say nothing, letting them betray themselves while you remain an enigma. That's how you triumph without effort. Winning by simply existing. Envision it. You enter a room and the atmosphere shifts. Conversations falter. Postures stiffen. The energy tightens like a drawn bowstring. That's not sorcery. It's presence. Forged in the quiet fires of solitude and discipline, it's crafted when you stop craving approval. When you move with the steady certainty of knowing who you are and who you refuse to be. True dominance doesn't shout or shove, it refuses to over-explain. Weak men overcompensate with loud boasts, endless talk, desperate bids to be seen. But you're becoming rarer, a man who sits unshaken in the heart of a storm, unmoved by insults, always 2 steps ahead. Why chase being liked when you can be felt? Like men bend and soften to please. Felt men are untouchable, self-contained, respected from a distance. You don't beg for attention, you withdraw it. And when you do, panic ripples through those who thought they knew you. Silence from a man with power is louder than 100 empty voices. Machiavelli would tell you, the most feared men in history weren't always the loudest. They were the most deliberate. They didn't trumpet their intentions. They executed them with precision. They didn't seek vengeance through clamor, but let their absence shift the very air in the room. This is your lesson now. To trade performance for presence, to swap explanations for keen observation. You walk into spaces as if your energy is a currency because it is. It commands respect without a word. If they dismiss your presence, let them feel the weight of your absence. If they talk over you, fall silent. If they challenge you, answer with action, not noise. This is a new kind of warfare, psychological, unseen, yet devastating. You don't dominate through aggression, but by being untouchable. The one who doesn't flinch, who walks away without a need to explain why, who is noticed without ever begging to be seen. This power isn't for the faint-hearted. It demands ruthless self-control, a willingness to bury the urge to prove yourself. Can you silence the impulse to defend your name at every slight? You must train your face to remain still when lies swirl, when provocations sting, when they try to unravel you. It's when you triumph, not in the heat of a retort, but in the cold calm of giving them nothing. No reaction, no access, no flicker of emotion. Picture it, a face so composed it's a fortress, saying without words, I see you, I've measured you, and you're not worth my breath. You become dangerous when you stop reacting, when your silence forces others to face their own reflections. Your presence alone makes them weigh their words, tread carefully, second-guess their approach. How respect is forged not through demands, but through this stark contrast between what they expect and what you deliver. If they brace for an argument and you offer silence, that's power. If they expect you to chase and you vanish, that's power. If they think you'll crumble and you rise stronger, that's calculated, unshakable power. They won't admit it, but they'll feel it in their bones, adjusting their stance in your presence. This is what it means to be feared without cruelty, not harming others, but carrying yourself with a quiet strength that declares, I don't need you, I don't trust you, I don't explain myself to you. That alone unsettles people, because most wither without attention, suffocate without validation. But you're learning to thrive in the stillness, a threat in every room you enter, simply by being. So, let your presence speak from this day forward. Don't justify your worth. Become so focused, so emotionally disciplined, so unreadable, that they sense your power before you utter a word. But you don't owe the world your words, you owe yourself your power. If you're ready to embody this, declare it now. My presence is my power. My silence is my strike. The unbreakable mind awaits. Clear, untouchable. You've felt the betrayal. You've endured the silence. You've sat alone in the dark with thoughts that nearly ate you alive. And yet you're still here, stronger, quieter, colder. Not because life softened its edges, but because you learned the world doesn't reward tenderness. It bows to the mind that refuses to break, even when all else crumbles. This is the moment you transform not into a survivor, It's not a victim, but a weapon, a presence, a mind that stands unyielding under pressure. Forged in the silent crucible of 1,000 unseen trials. Each time you didn't shatter, you recalibrated. Sharper and more precise, Machiavelli knew this truth. Men must either be feared or crushed. Power doesn't linger in half measures or cling to the emotional. It belongs to those who hone their minds like an assassin's blade, cold, sharp, ever ready. Most falter here, yearning for the old comforts of noise and validation, but not you. You've burned the bridge to that past, its ashes scattered. You've seen what softness earns, being overlooked, used, forgotten. You've learned that over-explaining only deepens dismissal, that emotional reactions breed weakness. You've outgrown it all. Now, you don't glance backward, you construct forward. The unbreakable mind isn't born of hope, it's forged. Through deliberate design, through daily rituals of discipline. Each morning, you choose to stay razor sharp. Every decision is a calculated step, every response measured. You can no longer chase fleeting outcomes. You build leverage. You don't grant easy access. You raise the cost of entry. You stop proving your worth and live as a man who demands none, radiating value in every step. When life strikes now, you don't flinch. You pause, adjust, and proceed. Picture it. A storm rages, but you stand at its center, unmoved, recalculating your path with icy precision. You don't seek comfort, you seek control. It's the old you needed the world to align. The new you thrives when it doesn't. The game is no longer emotionally psychological, strategic. A quiet war where your mind is the battlefield. You walk differently now, not with arrogance, but with an undeniable power. Your words are few, but they land like stones in still water, rippling outward, commanding attention. You don't squeeze into spaces, you own them with your presence. Your silence isn't empty. It's armor worn with purpose. Machiavelli would call this invincibility through perception. When others realize your mind is beyond their control, their respect shifts. They stop testing you, stop wasting your time. Why? Because your presence declares one unshakable truth. This man is untouchable, not because he fights, but because he no longer bleeds for the world.